Hey, this is a bit of a show and tell. A while back, I did a video of this 1971 Hitachi, I think model CNU 880, is that? Yeah, CNU 880. And it's a very early Hitachi color TV. Very round tube picture. I've never really been able to get the picture to look great on it. It's got a bit of a tired CRT. I'm sure the circuitry needs a lot of alignment, whatever, but it's got some charm to it just because of how unique it is. But I've been wanting to find a bit of a more contemporary TV with dials, if that makes any sense. And I saw this Hitachi come up. This is about 9 years newer. It's from 1980, and I can't remember the model number. I'll put it right there. But this sucker is 1 inch bigger. It's 18 inch, I think, and this is 19 inch. And I gotta say, the picture quality on this is fantastic. It is a very strong tube, and it just sort of works. Okay, we're on film CRT mode on the camera. Of course, this is never going to look as good as in real life. And the first thing I'm going to mention is that anyone who's watched these Hitachis, actually really any old TVs, will tell you that they're very different with color. In my opinion, the best TVs for greens, for deep, rich greens, RCA and Sony. So like I have a reference Sony up here. And what's interesting, see if I do that, I'm really unable to get this to show accurately what the colors look like on here. But in real life, this is a lot more of an accurate green. And this is kind of a yellowy green. It's like a putrid, almost not avocado, but like in a field of grass, when you have grass that's kind of yellowy, that's what this green looks like. And I've never been able to get this Hitachi to show me really nice, deep greens. This camera is really, it's lying to us is what it's doing. And I think that's just Hitachi. I saw a Jordan Peer video when he was fixing an older Hitachi of this vintage, I think a few years newer, and he mentioned the same thing that I've experienced with it and other Hitachis in the past, and this one. So, of course, this is more, I think, just the UHF tuner's a little bit finicky here. So I can get it to look, not have that sort of bleeding. Then I get a bit of noise. So I think the tuner needs a bit of calibration for UHF. Okay, what you are seeing in real life, this purple is actually throughout this entire bar. This bluishness is just the camera. And again, this green is more of a yellow. And it's just Hitachi. I don't know what to say. But I think it just goes back that my favorite color reproduction is older RCAs, and my favorite just overall picture clarity is Zenith. I didn't like the color as much on Zenith, but the clarity was just wonderful. Talking of clarity though, this thing is sharp as hell. Like look at that dot crawl along that edge there. It's just crisp. And if I switch to an actual channel, of course the camera is not going to show it accurately, but like look at the detail. This is an RF channel that's being split all over the house. Heck, even in this room it's going through a three-way splitter, then going through a distribution amp, and then another three-way splitter. And as I keep saying again and again, filming CRTs is a very difficult task. The camera freaks out all the time, but this is a very, very sharp, clean picture. This one's perfectly fine, actually, but, you know, not as good. 9 years makes a heck of a difference. And then I'm just using this little Sony up here as a reference, which is very, very bright, as Sonys always are. I think what kind of did this one in is this instant picture. It doesn't even say anything on the front here. This sort of, I keep calling it Instant On. I'm pretty sure Instant On's like a brand, I think Sylvania or something. But here, let me shut these off for a bit and I'll demonstrate. All right, it's been an adequate amount of time these have been turned off. Let's see how fast they power on. And I'm even going to give the 1980 Hitachi a head start. Yeah, this one's pretty much already up. And this one is still, there it is. So this keeps the heater in the CRT, in the picture tube, the heater element running, probably at a reduced voltage, so that when you power it on, it's already heated up, it's already ready to go, and you have a picture. So this CRT, anytime this was plugged in, is just sitting there slowly wearing out the picture tube, because apparently that keeping it warmed up like that does wear it out. So that sucks. Whereas this one is just wonderfully crisp. Of course, I'm zooming in on nothing here. There we go. Wonderfully crisp. Oh, actually, you know what? That's pretty accurate to what I'm seeing. Green's a little bit more muted than what I have. See, I can either make it more muted or less muted when I zoom in and out. At any rate, this was just kind of a fun show and tell. As you can see, it's got these wonderfully backlit channel donks. Very, very satisfying. And it has a full discrete UHF tuner, so it's not continuous, it's channelized. Very nice. Also backlit. By this time, UHF was channelized just like VHF was. I think it was like a regulation requirement, similar to how UHF tuners were required sometime in the 60s in the US. I think it was required that UHF tuners are channelized and not continuous for TVs above a certain size by the time this came out. Probably late 70s is when they regulated it. Whereas on this one, I think I showed in the last video that I did, this is a continuous tuner. So it's a little bit more of a finicky thing to tune in if you have multiple UHF stations, which I do. This is from a time when you would like tune in your single UHF station and then you just have your preset for it. But as there became more and more stations, you know, you want to be able to individually select them on the knob. So that's nice. And it's just, oh, it's so clunky. Clunky, oh, ooh, that died. Clunky and wonderful. Taking a look on the bottom here, we've got sharpness, vertical hold, which I do have to say is in the most inconvenient location. Because before I kind of got used to where all these are, I would go to adjust color or tint and I would constantly mess the vertical hold up. Color, tint, brightness, picture, which is contrast, and your electro APS AFC. So APS is automatic picture control, AFC is automatic fine control for fine tuning. And yeah, turn it off there. It's very bright. Plug it in, nice skin tones, even though this is a cartoon. The only complaint I have, every single one of these dials is perfectly centered. Brightness is perfectly centered. Same with picture, sharpness. I don't think color has an indent. Oh, I did have color turned up a little bit more. Okay. But tint is way off. There's the indent, and there's where I have it. Yeah, I tend to have it a bit on the warmer side. It's a little bit kind of reddish if I have it on the indent. So I think there might be a subtint and subcolor in here somewhere I need to locate to set that up. But yeah, otherwise it's a very nice TV. Of course, it's blanking here so you can't see it. It's also a good sign for the CRT that there's a lot of room on the brightness control. I did have to turn the sub bright up just a touch, but I haven't touched the screen control or any of the other controls there. So this just a little bit of a tweak on the sub bright, and it's got lots of life left in it. No bleeding, no blurriness, it's sharp. All right, I've broken out a different camera, so I don't know how any of this is going to turn out, but I figured I'd break out the actual fancy real camera instead of my phone. So I brought out the only test pattern generator that I own, which is this really old RCA WR64B, and this is a vacuum tube test pattern generator from sometime in, I guess, the 60s. and it is quite old. So let's put it into standby and listen to the hum. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, I think I already had this on, so I can probably just switch to pattern. There we go. Excellent linearity. I don't know how easy it is to see on camera, but there's a bit of a beat interference on this that I haven't really been able to figure out what's causing this. Probably just age. But there we go. And I've got 3 test patterns to choose from: crosshatch, dots, and color bars, which are kind of washed out. I think this is probably the sign for me to go and buy a solid state test pattern generator. Actually, this camera is showing very accurately how, maybe not that accurately if I pull back. No, actually the color is not accurate at all on the camera. This is worse than my phone. Oh well. It's all trial and error. Let me try and adjust the tint so that it looks proper on camera. Okay, I've sort of faked it a little bit. The blue's still not showing up accurately. This is actually a deep, vibrant blue. But you get the idea. And taking a look inside the TV reveals that there's really not much, especially compared to that 71 opened up that had boards everywhere. By 1980, everything was basically on one board. And lots of ICs. You got one in there, and other places. Yeah, there's another. So this is the era of simplification. And then for the tuner, you just have the 2 tuning knobs. Very, very simple setup. I think that neon bulb for the VHF is probably in need of replacement. It's pretty dim. Takes a second to turn on when you first power on the set, because it's probably just sat on VHF all its life. Speaker's a little smaller than the 71 and not quite as bassy. The 71 has very filling sound. This is more, it's got more highs. It's a little bit more high fidelity, but doesn't have as much bass presence to it. Very simple inside. I'm assuming if you had like the push button Varactor tuner or the digital tuner, there'd be a lot more going on here. Neckboard. Overall, it doesn't look like it's had a lot of hours. There's a bit of dust on the cap there, but really not much. There's the picture tube 19 VJT P22. And unfortunately, I've looked through this entire board and I don't think that there is a sub-tint or sub-color control. There's a sub-contrast and sub-bright, and I've got those nailed in perfectly. Then you've got vertical size and sub-bright. And then if we go up around here, you've got sub-contrast and AGC, which I dialed in. And I think there's another in here somewhere. Focus is right there. So that's set nicely. There's an unlabeled one up here that I haven't really messed with because I don't know what it's for and I don't want to start messing around with stuff. But I think I can live with the tint being slightly off. More than likely it's just some component, probably a capacitor that's gone slightly out of spec, but I can live with that. Made in Canada is definitely not something you see very often anymore. Of course, that's just the assembly of this TV. If you look at the actual electronics, let's zoom in here. So this label for this board, made in Taiwan. So yeah, it's assembled in Canada, not really made in Canada. Still kind of impressive and something you don't hear anymore. And just wanted to take the cover off the back of this tester just to show you how beautiful it is inside. Look at those. Yes, beautiful tubes. It may not be the most accurate piece of test equipment, but it sure is power hungry. And this is showing all the different adjustments on the back for setting the different frequencies it uses. Anyway, just wanted to show this TV. It didn't need any work done to it. There's no repair or troubleshooting in this video. Just a look at a really sweet little CRT TV from 1980.
I think I got your large. Oh yeah, I didn't think this was for me.